So we have arrived to week 4 of the UFL season. Begins Thursday night and goes on until about Saturday evening. Let's waste no more time with these 4 games to go over and dive right into the first one. It all begins Thursday night as the Louisville Kings at 3-point favorites take on the Houston Gamblers. The Kings, coming off of that overtime loss to the Storm last week, they have yet to win a game, but they're playing well in some of these losses, and that was a very tough way for that game to end. Overtime with the penalty stuff is a whole mess. The UFL, I'm expecting them to change that rule at some point in the future. As of now, no official confirmation about that has been made, but by at least the start of next season, I do expect it to be changed. Houston, through 3 weeks, really you have no idea what to expect from them. Quarterback play has been a complete mystery, in part due to injuries, but it has still not looked great through 3 weeks and nowhere near consistent. The defense has been playing pretty rough this year at times. Just again, a whole bunch of inconsistency for this Houston team. This game is in Houston. Don't really have a whole lot of expectations for this. Nolan Henderson is not is his status is up in the air for this game. So I am going to make the assumption that Tawala Tagovailoa gets to start again this week for the Gamblers, as it also seems like Hunter Deckers is going to be missing an extended period of time. So with that, I'm going to pick the Louisville Kings to win this game. I just feel better about the Kings than I do the Gamblers at this point, despite what the records say. And I feel like a lot of people do agree with that, considering that they are 3-point favorites in this one. The Kings just on the field have looked better. It's just that play has not resulted in wins yet. Whereas the Gamblers, they've had one game of really looking truly good. But even in that game, there was definitely some moments of it where it definitely should have been a bit better against the Stallions. But yeah, all around, don't feel good about the Gamblers. I feel better about the Kings, so I'm going to pick Louisville to get their first win. Friday night sees a rematch game as the Dallas Renegades at 4.5-point favorites travel to the Columbus Aviators. The Aviators, coming off of a pretty solid fight against Dallas last week, it was a 5-point loss against them. Now they're going to be hosting the Renegades. And that could definitely make this game appear a bit closer and have a bit more fight behind, especially the fact that it is back-to-back weeks these two teams are playing. We saw that with the Kings and Storm last week, that a back-to-back can typically lead to a better game and a more enjoyable game. For Dallas, this is their first road game of the season, so some concerns and some bit of mystery surrounding Dallas then for this one. Having it be their first road game, how are they going to play on the road? Even then, their style of play that we've seen through 3 weeks is a style that I'm pretty confident that will be able to translate to a hostile territory. So I'm going to pick the Dallas Renegades to win this one. Even with Tyler Vaughn's being held in check last week against this Columbus team, they still were able to put up 28 points. Austin Reed still was able to play decently well, and the ground game found a footing to some degree. Columbus, they're still one of those teams that I feel like should be playing better than what they have been, and they showed that a bit last week against Dallas. I'm just not too sure about how they're going to show this week against Dallas, having to have that double week of preparation. And with everything else surrounding this team right now, I don't really know how they're going to handle all that. And I'm just going to be picking the safer option in this one with the Dallas Renegades and how they've been playing so far. The first game on Saturday, it is the St. Louis Battlehawks taking on the DC Defenders in DC. The Defenders are 3.5-point favorites in this one. Coming off of their home opener last week, DC is really hot right now. Back-to-back 40-plus point games, back-to-back blowout wins for DC, including a record high blowout win last week against Houston. All around, this DC team's looking a lot better than they did in the week 1 when they played the St. Louis Battlehawks. They have found a new identity in DC. The ground game is more so of a focus. Jordan Teamu is doing enough through the air, but he's not being asked to do anything too special. The defense is back to form, playing to exactly the level you thought they're going to be to begin the season. And even with what they showed a bit in St. Louis, there were signs of that, but now they definitely look to be to form. St. Louis, after the win against Birmingham, Harrison Frost is seemingly going to be the starting quarterback, and he played good in the fourth quarter, pretty rough third quarter. But for the most part, this St. Louis team still has some questions, especially surrounding that defense, which looked pretty rough against Birmingham at times, and the offense that looked pretty rough at times against Birmingham as well. Just some bit of inconsistency there for St. Louis. And DC came very close to beating them back in week 1. It's a home game, one of the bigger rivalries in the UFL. I'm going to pick DC to win this one this time around. A second matchup against a team is going to lead to a better game and guys being more prepared. And I'm going to lean in favor of Shannon Harris and that coaching staff being more prepared than I'm going with Ricky Prohl and his St. Louis coaching staff in terms of getting their guys ready because Shannon Harris, we saw from last season, we've seen from this season that these players really rally behind him. And yes, we've seen that a bit from St. Louis with Ricky Prohl. It's a first-time head coach in this league. I'm going to be a bit more hesitant to say that for a back-to-back, they're really going to be fully ready, especially with a massive quarterback change throughout the week. So I'm going to pick the DC Defenders. And the final game of the week, the Orlando Storm traveled to Birmingham for the home opener of the Stallions. Birmingham is 2.5-point favorites in this game. And after back-to-back really tough losses for the Stallions, they have their home opener looking to right the ship a bit. Matt Corral played pretty well against St. Louis last week after the very rough start. He showed good resilience and bounced back pretty well from those interceptions early on. Meanwhile, this defense of Birmingham definitely looked rough. Weren't really able to get that much pressure against Harrison Frost in that fourth quarter. The secondary did not look nearly as good as what it did as other parts of this game and other parts of the season. There's a really weird spot to find the Stallions in after what we have become so accustomed to with the Stallions. Meanwhile, Orlando at 3-0 have been a bit of a surprise to start the UFL season. I did not expect them to be 3-0 at this point. They've been playing pretty damn well with Anthony Beck coaching the way. And all around, this is a Orlando team that I definitely feel like could be a sneaky contender the rest of the way. But how will they handle a really tough environment? This is going to be one of the tougher environments they play in this season. I'm going to pick Orlando to win this game. The consistency we have seen from them through 3 weeks is making me feel really good about this team going forward. Meanwhile, Birmingham, they've had some really good flashes and some really good drives, but they have yet to really put a full game together. Hopefully they'll be able to in the home opener, and hopefully I am wrong, because the Stallions does feel like they need to start getting some wins together, especially some home wins if they're going to be sticking around longer term, which they definitely should be, but we shall see with that. Orlando, though, just the consistency from them and Anthony Beck coaching them, I'm going to lean in favor of the Storm. So there you have it. Week 4 quickly wrapped up. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, I will be live for all of these games beginning tonight as of this going up on Thursday. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.